This new year, why not let Audible expand your life by listening? Explore over 1 million audiobooks, podcasts, and exclusive Audible originals that'll inspire and motivate you. Tap into your well-being with advice and insight from leading professionals and experts on better health, relationships, career, finance, investing, and more. Maybe you want to kick a bad habit or start a good one. If you're interested in learning how to master your emotions and hearing scientifically backed advice for using your emotions as a tool, may I suggest Shift by psychologist and bestseller author Dr. Ethan Cross? Trust me, listening on Audible can help you reach the goals you set for yourself. Start listening today when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. The brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Plus, your super light and ultra durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that?
For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just go to getcopperhead.com. That's getcopperhead.com for your 2 free gifts with purchase. Getcopperhead.com.
This episode brought to you by the following patrons: Heather, Leaf Girl, Min, Jason, Madeline, Alyssa, Vixen, Laura, Jeremy with the laser eyes, Allie, Logan, Kristen, and Tia. But because it's that special time of the month, we get to shout out our You Can Get It level sponsors, and they are Orchav, Fig Roll McGee, Ghislaine, Finessa, Heather, Katie, Nikki, Knitting Menace, Spooky Lime Pie, Renee, Billy, Charles, Grace, Sean, Allie, Dr. Voorhees, MD, Amelia, Aaron, Radioactive Spider-Gwen, Irene, Nate, Naomi, Bex, Laura Lubu, Cameron, Kaylee, Jackie, and Unintentional Badass, a.k.a. Jennifer. And all the patrons want you to know you're loved, you're listened to, and you're a valuable member of this awesome Horror Virgin community. And if you want to hang out with us, do so in the Facebook group, where we'll be talking about this movie daily, at least this week, and then next week, the next movie. You guys see how it works.
I am on the search for one specific one, and I did not find it. I found a bunch of other really good, cool cassettes, and I have a cassette player. So I think I'm just kind of getting back into cassettes, man. Because you know what? They cost almost nothing, and it's kind of fun to be like, man, Dan Fogelberg really was that big, huh?
He was certainly no Jokelberg.
Hey!
All right.
Hey, Todd.
Yes, Paige.
I know that I have a reputation for finding villains attractive. But if this movie is gonna put abs on a guy with a pyramid for a head, what else am I supposed to do?
Paige, he can't wait to tear your skin off.
Thank you for tuning into Horror Virgin. I'm Paige.
And I'm your Horror Virgin Todd, which means I don't like scary movies, but you guys make me watch them. And this week, the listeners picked Silent Hill for us to watch. And okay, so Paige, I guess we got to get into it. So Paige,
yeah,
was this the first time you saw Silent Hill?
This was my first time. I have also not played the game. However, I have played many games like it, and that has informed my criticisms to follow henceforth.
Good to know.
This is my first time. I was actually pretty excited going into today because I was like, I've never watched this one, and people fucking love it.
Yeah, and the Silent Hill franchise, not even movies, I mean
huge.
IP is huge and well received.
Look, if you don't think that I follow multiple Instagram accounts of thick boys who like to put pyramids on their heads at cosplay conventions, you don't know me at all. I was stoked. I was so excited. And here's what I have come away thinking. Hear me out. I think Silent Hill is probably a fantastic game.
Yeah.
And incredible. But the storytelling for games is very different from movies. And I think in some ways, and I know that they were blending multiple of the games 2 and 3 and 1 into this movie. There's stuff from everything. I think in trying to be ultra faithful to the game, they really do themselves a disservice with the pacing and storytelling of the movie, especially if you're someone like me who didn't play the game. The mythology is weird and convoluted and complicated and overwrought. And here's the thing, in a game, all day. That makes sense because you got to play through.
Yeah.
You're playing it for 12 hours, for 50 hours, 60 hours. Like, you need those things to do.
Yeah.
The game has to create tasks for you. You have to have side quests. You have to have more information. You have to have stuff to gather. But in a movie, I'm just sitting here watching a character figure it out. And there is absolutely a way that they could have streamlined that into a very interesting movie. And instead, it felt like they were very, very faithful to the game goes to this place, to this place, to this place, to this place. We have to go to all of those places. We have to see all these things instead of trying to build a grounded emotional story.
Exactly.
That would have still taken us to most of those places.
Yeah.
But would have flowed and paced better.
But you wouldn't have had the press X to jump to the next beam or whatever.
Jesus Christ. Yes.
Like, we didn't need that stuff. But it would have been great if they had told me more story.
She spends 20 minutes running through a school to find one key in this movie.
Paige, can I just say this? Ma'am, if your daughter's in a drawer, it's too late. Like, I don't know what else to say. It's like the drawer's not going to help you. Although she is looking for like
clues,
the accessories you find along the way in the video game.
That's
and like,
the thing.
Listen, I agree, Paige, 100%. This is like taking all of the Lord of the Rings and making a 2-hour movie out of it. And I honestly felt a little cheated because I know there's so much story that it was just cut out.
Oh, yeah, there's 3 games worth of lore.
Yeah.
Well, and then condensed into a 15-minute voiceover by the little girl where it's like, I was a witch, or was I? I'm not a witch, but they burned me anyway, and I'm mad about it, and then I became a witch, and I got pregnant somehow. Don't ask more questions.
Colin, looking at you, Colin.
Looking at you, Colin.
He got his, though.
Who knows?
No, he did. He's in the bathroom. You see him.
I know he's in the bathroom, but I don't know that that's where she got pregnant, but that's one of my big old questions about the lore.
Oh God, I didn't think about that. I hope that's not where. Oh God,
she's a little girl, and so it's like,
that's what I'm saying. I hope that's not when she got pregnant. Oh, it can't be timeline wise, right?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
and then the fire. There's no way. Like, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I understand her punishing Colin. Go off, Queen.
Yes.
But like, no. How does she get pregnant and then the baby gets out? But who brought the baby out? And how did this? Like, there's so much that I'm sure either A, doesn't make sense because it's a video game and they're banking on you not asking questions.
Right.
Or B, is explained better in the game and you've played through it, but we aren't getting it in the movie because we're focusing on like, well, we gotta see Pyramid Head and like, we gotta see these light things and we gotta see the bugs. And it's like, we do, but we can see them for a shorter amount of time to get story. Because once we start getting story, which by the way, significant story points do not happen in this movie until 45 minutes into it. And by hour and 15, so at that point, 75 minutes, I have in my notes directly, we've learned fuck all in this.
The movie does presuppose you've played the game.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
And then it's just trying to highlight the cool bits from the game.
Cool bits from the game.
And I don't even mean that like the story points. I mean like, oh, remember this puzzle she had to solve kind of thing?
And we're not solving it in the movie because it's a movie.
And the thing is, I don't think, and I haven't played the game, obviously, because I can't even handle scary movies.
Sure.
So like I freak out playing games. You can see actually some clips on YouTube and I hate them. But like, I don't even know if this is a character from the game. I don't know if it's the mom you play as. I thought it was the guy.
It's not. You play as the dad.
Right.
Yeah, you play as the dad. I know because I had Jake sit next to me who has played the game. And I just asked questions the whole time where I was like, is the cop good? And he's like, kind of. And I was like, okay. Is the hot pyramid guy in this one? He's like, yes, even though he's from the second game. And I was like, okay, what's his deal though? And he's like, he represents grief. And I'm like, oh, fuck this. Like,
I love that he gave you a straight answer and you were like, I'm out.
I'm out.
If he had responded with, calm down, he's married, you'd have been like, man.
Oh, man. Fuck. No, and here's the thing. I've played other games in this genre of like, it's meant to scare you and whatever. And I actually do really appreciate about those games that they do have a lot of built-in lore for you to find and solve and nerd out about.
They're like puzzles
they are like giant puzzles. And in a game format, I super appreciate that.
Yes.
And I'm all here for it. And like, even if I had played the game, I think I would be like, yeah, I know, but like, hurry it up. Like, come on. We're telling a story about somebody losing a child. The emotional weight of that, the real life implications of the cops. We have a cult in this movie that don't show up until 3/4 of the way through it.
The cult is almost a third act reveal, Paige.
It's a third act reveal.
It's so late in the 2-hour and 5-minute movie.
Played by fucking Locutus of the Borg. And like,
everybody calm down.
It's the Borg Queen in the house.
The Borg Queen in the house.
Queen in the house, right? The cult shows up, and I'm like, we could have been talking about this for 45 minutes. Like, you mean to tell me there's a witch burning cult in modern ass day West Virginia, and we're not going to talk about, like, we're going to spend 20 minutes with these people? Come on.
Oh, Paige, I mean, like, I do like sort of the premise of the movie, like that it was the literal coal town in like Pennsylvania. It's like Centrella or something, Pennsylvania, that actually is
on fire.
Yeah, I think it still is on fire. I don't fully know. Don't fact check me, or fact check me and then just correct me because I don't know.
I'll fact check you while you're continuing to talk. I'll look.
I like that it's based on that, and I like that like Lord Stark goes to like check it out. And he's just driving around this town.
You were very close.
What is it?
Centralia, Pennsylvania. You were very, very close.
Damn, I was close. I think I said Centrella, which in hindsight wouldn't make sense for Pennsylvania.
Close, and here's the thing. And I realized this as I was getting to the end of the movie, because in Pennsylvania, it is a coal mine burning underground.
Yeah.
This movie has mines, miners, all of it. We don't talk about it.
I mean, they're all, even Pyramid Head has like miner pants on.
Yeah.
Of course, Paige, he's shirtless, for the ladies.
Thank goodness, right?
He's got those miner pants on. The Borg cult, let's just call it the Borg cult, please. Please,
yeah,
Paige,
the Borg.
Please. The Borg cult all wears miner gear when they go out of the church.
Yes, and yet none of that's addressed. Because even when they're like, oh, there's still fires burning underground, later we revealed that that's not how the fire happened at all. It's because they were burning this little girl because they're fucking monsters.
Oh, Paige, I was so mad when it's revealed that all of this could have been avoided if the cult had just reinforced the steel chains that are holding the body in the Kalima cage above the, like, coal cauldron.
Have they learned nothing from Temple of Doom?
Exactly. Listen, it's like all you gotta do is reinforce those things. At the end, when it, like, the whole thing, the fire, like, the upside down, when all of that was created because one of the chains broke, and so it swung and then hit the coal cauldron and knocked that over, and it caused a fire. Like, it was an America's Funniest Home Videos goofs that led to what happened in Silent Hill. I was like, oh, this is a weird choice.
A weird choice. But I kind of liked the idea of,
I also like the idea of a Bob Saget and the Upside Down sort of introducing a clip show from this universe. I love it. Yes.
Yes. Where in the Upside Down, no one gets hit in the nuts. It's a real downer.
It's real sad, honestly. It's just America's saddest. It's just dad.
Just snuff films.
Yeah, it's just dad playing catch with his son and no one gets hit in the nuts.
No one gets hit in the nuts. Here's where I'm, I guess, confused and frustrated, because the movie sets up a coal mine that is still burning underground and that it infected the town. Everyone got sick. It's almost a case of like corporate greed and environmental issues. Like, I love that. Great.
Sure, yeah.
On the opposite side, we have the Borg, who have sealed off what seems to be a portal to hell, and then are burning witches on top of it to keep the portal closed. Equally interesting, but why? We got both. Pick one, like...
I think it's Paige. Okay, so I don't know. I've not played the games, and I've largely been terrified to read about the IP. So this is coming from a knowledge base of zero other than this movie.
Okay.
I got the vibe that it was like that area is just like powerful with energy of indiscriminate origin. Like it's like a Tannis.
A thin place, if you will.
Yeah. Or like a thin place or whatever, right?
Yes.
And so the cult just sort of channeled that energy into the sacrifice, which then like led to the upside down of it all. That was started by the immense amount of grief that she was experiencing while being burned alive after being betrayed by her mom?
Well, here's the thing. I view them as literally kidnapping her from her mom, because her mom does try to stop it and like gets the cop and whatever.
That's okay. That's fair.
I think it's the vengeance of the little girl. And it's like, because they talk about their like vengeance is power and basically like, whatever. And I think it's that anger and vengeance that kind of like cracks the world, if you want to think of it that way.
Yes.
Much like in Twin Peaks with the atomic bomb. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
Great. But then why the mine?
Just because they wanted to model it after that place that's literally on fire in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
It is a cool premise. Like, I kind of like that idea for like well, that would definitely make your town a ghost town. And then, because there's smoke coming out of the ground all of the time.
Right. All the time. Yeah.
And so what would be the opposite of smoke coming out of the ground? Oh, well, just like ashes falling from the sky. So like it's
everywhere. Yeah.
I'm saying that like it's not cool. I think it's cool as shit. I actually really like that part of the movie, but I didn't like the video game-ness of the movie. And I love video games. I wish they had made a movie.
Yes.
Or honestly, like, here's the thing. I want a miniseries.
I'd watch a miniseries. Fuck yeah.
Like, I think that this story would be great as a miniseries. I honestly just, like, left the movie feeling like, damn, I wish I understood more about this world and, like, what was happening. Like,
yeah, I wish I knew anything that was happening.
There were things that I'm sure were landing for people who played the games that were not landing for me. Because it would be, like, this weird moment where it was, like, the scene would go on a little bit too long and focus in on somebody or whatever, and you're like,
yes.
Oh, damn, that's like foreshadowing to a game I'm never gonna play, and I wish I knew what was going on. I wish I did.
I wish I knew.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't think it's impossible to make a good movie out of a game with IP this
dense,
deep, and detailed, right?
Yeah.
There's so much to work with here, clearly, right? I think it's more that like sometimes being so faithful to the game ruins it. And like, I look at things like Last of Us, which is extremely faithful, but is also making very specific choices to make the show.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a miniseries probably would be great for this.
Yeah.
Like, I think about Fallout in the same way, where like I've watched Jake play Fallout for fucking hours.
Yeah. I've gotten lost in Fallout for like tens of hours. Just like doing nothing. So yeah.
Oh yeah, super into it. And I'm like, I feel like you're just shooting bugs this whole time.
And you're like, yes, somebody's got to clean up this fucking rat-infested nest.
100%. He's like, this is my sector. Anyway. But then when I watched the TV show, I was like, oh, these stories. I'm so into it. Like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a missed opportunity here of there are stories that are interesting and characters people can connect to, but we are too bogged down in making sure we show the blood glistening off Pyramid Head's abs to get to those story points.
But Paige, here's what I hope. And the listeners will have to tell us, because I'm sure they'll tell us before we do any more.
I'm sure. I feel like Five Nights at Freddy's with this,
Yeah. But I feel like the more recent ones might get better. And the only reason I say that is because this came out at a weird time for horror movies and also CGI and also video game movies.
Yes.
Like there's a lot of like confluences of like not great movies around like a lot of segments involved in this movie. So a lot of those have gotten way better. Like the video game IPs that have come out as movies are way better now. Like, so all of that stuff has gotten way, way better. CGI has gotten way, way better.
Right.
I bet that
I'd watch a sequel.
Yeah.
I'd watch another one. I'm interested in the IP.
Same.
I am invested in the weird story.
Yeah.
I don't think this movie was great. If I enjoyed playing games like this more, I'd probably play the game. I'll definitely watch another movie, I guess.
Yeah, I think, but like there are like so many tells that this is a video game movie. I mean,
right.
Just from like camera movements.
Oh, the first 20 minutes, I turned to Jake and I was like, this is the cutscene from the video game. I fucking guarantee you. It has to be. This must be, if not shot for shot, close enough.
Yeah.
Because there's no other way someone would shoot it this badly. Like that's the only reason.
But so you've got all those like video game shots. The cop is dressed like her only jurisdiction is inside the walls of any Hooters.
Oof.
Like she does not look like a cop in that outfit, especially when they go to the Upside Down.
Okay. But the second her helmet gets burned off and we saw her haircut, I was like, oh, that looks incredible on her. And like normally she wears long hair. That looks great.
I did. Okay, so this might be a hot take, literally. So at the end of this movie, the cop gets burned to death.
Unfortunately.
By the cult, right?
Too bad. I loved her as a character. She was one of my favorites.
Well, don't worry. In a few years, Vought brings her back as a fire-based superhero called the Crimson Countess in The Boys.
Oh, yeah. I haven't watched The Boys, but I love this actress, though, because she's incredible.
Me too. She's great in The Boys. She's a very interesting character.
Well, we've seen her in a couple things. She's been on in a couple movies that we've covered. And I want to say she's in Walking Dead as well.
Yes, she is. Yeah.
Yeah, she's great. Like, she's one of those people that's like, you kind of just recognize and you're like, oh, I've seen them and stuff. And every time I see her, I'm like, I wish she was in more stuff. But honestly, this haircut, incredible for her bone structure.
Yeah, it worked for her.
Oof. Like, that helmet came off and I was like, hot. I wish I could pull that off. I cannot. But she is, and it looks great.
Agreed. Yeah, she's awesome. Oh, Paige, this movie made me feel really bad for Mike Birbiglia's parents. I was like, God, is this what they had to go through?
With his sleepwalking?
Yeah.
Oh, poor Birbig.
I know.
Birbigaboo.
I hope our audience is like smart enough to have gotten that joke because I loved it. I loved writing it.
His new special made me cry a lot. It was great.
I know. He's so good. Like, I've been a fan of his since that first one where he talks about it. Sleepwalk with Me or whatever. Yeah. Great. Anyway, Paige, I was a little confused by the movie though. Like, I was like, for the first, like, I don't know, 2 acts, I was like, what is her daughter's name? I can't remember. Like, I wish she would just keep shouting.
Sharon! Sharon!
She does say it
Sharon!
about 1 million times in the movie. About like you said it. Like, just yelling it.
Am I crazy? Has anyone named a young child Sharon in the last, like, I don't know, 20 years? Like, I haven't met a Sharon that's my age ever.
If you're a Sharon of Paige's age, please reach out.
If you're a Sharon and you were a teen when 9/11 happened, hit us up.
That's a wide swath. That's like a 9-year gap or an 8-year gap or whatever. Yeah, okay.
I feel like that's a good sample size.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, if you're a Sharon within that gap, I guess reach out.
Actually, no, that's not true. I know one Sharon. She's about 10 years older than me, though, so she might fall out of that gap.
Mind the gap, guys.
Mind the gap.
Paige, perhaps we should just go through this video game-based movie scene by scene.
Yes, and I expect us to derail a couple conversations because, spoiler what? Not much happens. About 40 minutes of this movie is her running and yelling Sharon.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to that end, Paige, we open on Sharon!
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 She's not here! Sharon! It's worse than Carl on Walking Dead.
Oh,
Carl!
wow. Yeah. Yeah.
But Sean Bean, and our main character, Rose, are looking for their daughter who has sleepwalked out of their house and gone on a fucking hike. Like, how long was she missing?
Right. Also, listeners, can you guess what the daughter's name is?
Sharon!
Yeah.
Anyway, she goes, it's fully Rose, the mom, walks like a mile to this cliff.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I don't know how good she is at tracking, you know?
I mean, incredible, because she finds her almost immediately after walking under the underpass. It's like, under the bridge downtown, I lost my daughter, Sharon. I want Sharon back. And she's just like climbing, gets to some waterfall. And then Sharon has like somehow scaled a cliff above that. And she goes to like grab Sharon.
Oh, she just walked up to a cliff. It's like a cliff.
Yeah.
So she like hiked up to a cliff more or less.
Right.
And she's like, I want to go home or whatever is what she's saying.
Yeah, I want to go home to Silent Hill. And then the looking down from the cliff, it turns into the mine shaft, which again, I was like, why aren't the mines more important? But whatever. And down at the bottom, we will find out later is Alessa. But right now it's just a girl who's like, she'll come to me. And I'm like, who is that? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And because I was trying to guess, I was like, did something bad happen in the town and it's calling all the ghost children back? Close. Anyway.
Yeah.
They take her home and Sean Bean's like, I think we need to get her some medication and like take her to a hospital or whatever.
Which I think is like fair.
Yeah.
This is clearly sleepwalking, but like there's other things underlying as well because of the I want to go home and then yelling Silent Hill. So yeah, let's have someone help with this situation.
Sleepwalking, sleep hiking,
yeah,
sleep scaling a cliff. I mean, that's a lot of sleep activity. And they can't watch her 24/7. She gotta sleep sometime. So like, but that's his answer is like, we gotta get her some help, right?
I honestly wish I could do sleep sit-ups because like, I hate doing sit-ups, but I love a six-pack.
I mean, hey, if there was a way that I could be unconscious and people could just exercise my body while I was unconscious, sign me up. I'm here for that.
I think that's a fetish that you just described.
I mean, that sounds great.
I wanna work you out while you're sleeping.
I wake up in the middle of Pilates like, what is happening?
And Jake's like, nothing.
Nothing. Don't worry about it.
Why are we clothed?
No, that would hurt his shoulder, I think. Anyway, Rose, instead of being like, yeah, let's take her to a doctor, is like, what if I take her to the place she shouts about during her violent dreams?
Right. I did think that this was absolutely the wrong call. Like, I get, okay, maybe like you don't believe in psychiatry because of like you're involved in a L. Ron Hubbardian scheme, but don't take her to see a psychiatrist, but don't take her all the way to the place she's been yelling about this whole time.
Look, Todd, I think you have missed the point, and I need to remind you that snakes cannot hurt you, and there are no snakes at the bottom of your bed.
How dare you quote his actual autobiography or whatever it is.
I was trying to describe that to other people, and I was like, the snake one, and I was like, but then he goes on a whole journey of like, masturbation cannot hurt you. Your parents lied to you and they were afraid of your power. And then it devolves into like, masturbation is holding you back from your sexual prowess. And then the last one's like, you do not need sex to exist and women cannot appreciate your full power. And you're like, buddy.
Yeah.
Is it sad that I keep them handy so I can read them sometimes?
Oh,
They're
yeah.
very funny to me.
Do you want to like name what they are? Like, how can people find them?
Let's go.
At least tell people how they can find them.
The easiest way to find a collection of them is Wikipedia, because they are L. Ron Hubbard's affirmations, and they span like 6 different books. So you can buy, I mean, unfortunately, you have to buy them mostly from the Church of Scientology, and they're very overpriced. So there is a book that collects a lot of them called Affirmations. Originally it was published under the name Admissions, and it's a document written.
It sounds like an R. Kelly song.
I know, these are my admissions, stuff that I say into the mirror to make myself feel better when I'm running a cult. Written originally around 1946 or 1947. It's largely believed to be written by L. Ron Hubbard, although he does leave it anonymous. It's fully L. Ron Hubbard. And he then added to it later on.
Damn, he had a follow-up.
Yeah.
It was a remix to Admissions.
It's the remix to Admissions.
Hot and fresh out the Sea Org.
Mama rolling on boats till we overboard all the bitches.
Doing tons coke and rum. Sorry, we'll stop.
The first one is, I can write. My mind is still brilliant. Masturbation is no sin or crime. And I do not need to have ulcers anymore.
Oh, man. This is just straight up the power of positive thinking.
Oh, yes. And that's where he stole most of it from.
Yeah.
The numbers 7, 25, and 16 are not unlucky or evil for me.
Cool, bro.
I am not susceptible to colds, and my wife is always beautiful for me. But then he then goes on, because he did multiple like versions. So it's like, your stomach trouble you used as an excuse to keep the Navy from punishing you. You are free of the Navy. Like, you don't have to fear the Navy anymore.
Yeah.
Your eyes are getting progressively better. Your foot was an alibi. The injury is no longer needed. And then, oh my goodness. Hold on. There's a lot of masturbation ones.
Just Google affirmations L. Ron Hubbard and have a good laugh.
Yes.
And just know that somebody wrote it. Like, they really, really wrote it.
They really, really wrote it. And parts of them he wrote when he was with Jack Parsons. And those are those are also crazy.
Oh, you would think the ones where he was doing sex magic with his good buddy, the rocket scientist, would be crazy? Yeah.
Yeah. You have the ability to drop into a trance state at will. You do not know anger. Your patience is infinite. Snakes are not dangerous to you. There are no snakes in the bottom of your bed.
Somebody really, really wrote that, guys.
And a lot more about masturbation. He was
a fan, clearly.
Well, here's the thing, be a fan, because as long as you're consenting to touching you, have fun. But like, he was very conflicted about it.
Yeah, it's a CNC masturbation kink.
Yeah. Anyway.
Gross. Not just picturing L. Ron Hubbard jerking it. I hate this conversation. We got to move on.
More like bone 40, am I right?
That's when you're real aggressive with it.
That was just a deep cut Scientology joke.
I know. That's a tone 40 joke. Guys, Google Scientology tone 40.
Where's your dick on the bone scale? Oh, God. Anyway, I'm so sorry. I'm saying this right next to my vintage e-meter, too. I'm sorry, e-meter. I didn't mean it.
It's always listening.
Always listening.
It connects right to source. All right, we got to move on. I'm so sorry. I'll stop.
Xena will forgive me. Anyway, so Rose is like, let me take my daughter to the place where her violent nightmares happen.
Yeah.
They drive. She's not answering the phone from Scene Bean. And then I know it's Sean. I'm just being silly.
It's Lord Stark. Every time it's Lord Stark. Scene Bean, Lord Stark.
Isn't he Boromir?
Whoa, in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. He's Lord Stark.
I only watched a couple seasons of.
Well, you only had to watch the first 8 episodes or whatever to see him.
Yeah.
Because he dies. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, he is Boromir.
Yeah, okay.
Boromir.
He dies in that movie too.
This is the only movie he doesn't die in.
And honestly, it could have used a death, so.
Yeah, right?
No, I like him in this movie. He's just like the husband who can't really be helpful, even though he badly wants to be.
Well, yeah, because there's nothing he can do. He really wants to be.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's exposition husband.
He is. He is also I think the other side. I think this movie ends and his wife and adopted child are dead.
I think so
and
too.
They're on the other side or whatever.
The movie is not extremely clear about it.
Right. And he is just trying to get answers for why they're dead, how they died, what happened to them, the whole movie. And it's real sad. His side is real sad, I think.
It is. And I feel like that would have been so much better to explore.
Yeah.
Instead of every time we see Sean Bean, he's like, I don't know what to do. Let me pick up this file folder and open it in front of the camera so you can see the pictures you need to solve the case.
Yeah.
I would wonder if the sequel is him going back to try and find them.
I would love it if he goes into hell and saves his family and they all come out together. A story that's been told for literally thousands of years. That would be the shit.
Real Greek mythology shit.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah. He's got to pay the ferryman. Yeah.
I have an actual story to tell you.
Oh, go for it.
When we were on the Disney cruise, I am so sorry. Natalie, first off, my lovely wife, I'm so sorry because you were the victim of this, but it's really stupid. Okay, we were on a Disney cruise, and every night when you come in, they had made a new towel animal on our bed.
Yeah, that's the best part of cruises.
It was awesome. I loved it. The whole Disney cruise was great. Had a blast. But they had a squid kind of thing, and it had pirate booty coins that were chocolate as eyes, right?
Love it.
So as I'm picking up the thing to move it off the bed because, that's where we sleep.
Right.
I said aloud, very loud. And mind you, we had just gotten in and we were getting settled. We hadn't spoken in maybe 40 seconds.
Yeah.
We were just changing or whatever. And I pick up this squid. And as Natalie gets very close to me, I just yell, pennies for the ferryman because of its eyes. And it scared her. She was like, ah. And God, I wish that wasn't that is a true story. I wish it wasn't. And again, I feel like I need to apologize to my lovely wife who is editing this conversation right now for you guys to listen to. So I am sorry. It was so dumb.
Oh, bring out your dead.
Anyway, that's what my brain's doing all the time, listeners. And so just please understand how much of a saint my wife is.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, I can keep it under control most of the time. But sometimes it just comes out.
But whenever you see chocolate coins, it's...
Fuck. Pennies for the ferryman, guys. Honestly, if you see chocolate coins out there, just performatively for your friends, kind of lose your mind about how they're pennies for the ferryman. And then just demand they treat you normally after that.
I have a similar, let's call it a tick, where if somebody's ever ripe strawberries, my brain goes directly to the musical Oliver, where... There's a section that's ripe strawberries, ripe.
Yeah.
Any milk to dye me.
It's one of those interstitials between songs that get stuck in your head. Yeah.
Yeah. Who will buy my sweet red roses? And thankfully, my sister and I have some sort of telepathy where if either of us picks up the point of the interstitial, the other one will any milk to dye me and do the rest of it. Thank goodness.
I've always heard it pronounced telepony.
Telepony. That's where you whisper into a horse's ear and it's I'm not saying that. And you're like, you can talk? Anyway.
Telepony is the practice of whispering your wants into a horse's ear and then listening for the yay or the nay.
The yay or the nay. Or sometimes that horse whispers into the ear of Genuine.
Actually, okay, guys, I know we have listeners who like braid horsehair as a job. Like they're like,
wait, really?
Help
Really?
maintain horses. Yeah.
Okay.
But tell me, have you ever done that? Have you ever whispered your wants into a horse's ear and then listened for the yay or nay? Reach out. Let Paige know if you're also between the ages of whatever.
of the 9/11.
Yeah.
Or has a horse ever whispered their wants to you where they're just like, sugar cubes, apples.
Cube me, bish.
Hey is for horses. Hey. Anyway, we do get this shot as they're like driving kind of towards the gas station where they're going to stop right before they go into Silent Hill. That says, we will judge the angels and the saints will judge. It's this very convoluted, complicated sentence that I'm sure if you've played the game, you're like, oh, hell yeah. And if you haven't, you're like, is that like Mark Twain or like, who is this from? But they stop for gas. She goes to get gas and the cards have been declined because Scene Bean, Boromir / Ned Stark is like, yeah, no, I don't think you should take our adopted daughter to the place she shouts in her violent dreams.
Yeah, it's a terrible idea.
But just in case this works, I'm going to start shouting during my dreams and just see if Jake listens. Just like, oh, Palm Springs.
I was just in Palm Springs. Paige is very nice.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, no one will tell her how to get to Silent Hill. In fact, they tell her that they're like, the road doesn't go through anymore. Meanwhile, Boromir is back home Googling so that we can see the Google screen. And he's like, have you seen the websites about this place? It's a ghost town with underground foundry fires.
I did think it was funny that we went on the same journey the writer went on when they discovered the town in Pennsylvania that's been on fire since the 70s or whatever. And I also did think it was funny that like not Charlize Theron, Rose or whatever, was like, can you tell me how to get to Silent Hill?
Sunny days, keeping the ash away, on my way to where the air is gray. Can you tell me how to... Anyway.
How to get to anyway.
No one will tell her where Silent Hill is. They tell her that the road doesn't go through. Meanwhile, the cop is looking at her car. And I love that Sharon is like, I'm not supposed to talk to strangers. And the cop goes, good girl. And I was like, I think this cop might be a good guy. And the movie's trying to fake us out.
Yeah.
Just like the game would, because we are still in the section of the movie that feels like the cutscene of the game.
Yeah.
Anyway, she comes back out and the cop asks her like, hey, what are you doing in town? Where are you going? And she's just like, I need to be leaving. I'm not talking to you, whatever. I also want to point out that this gas station also offers body piercing and tattoos. As both a pierced and tattooed person, no.
I don't think I would want that kind of service from a gas station. That's true. Yeah.
But at the same time, because there's also a diner there, I was like, but if I could have diner food while getting tattooed.
That honestly does feel like an honest connection. Like those two things probably go together. In fact, I did not have to think it back. I went to Waffle House after I got my tattoo. Like that is true.
Yeah.
And I would love to say it was at like midnight. Paige, it was probably 7:30 at night after I got that tattoo. And my buddy and I, Josh, went to Waffle House.
I don't remember what we did after getting our first tattoo. I think we went to the mall. My sister and I have 2 matching tattoos. And so the first time, I think we just went to the mall. The second time, we got our tattoos at a plus size, like flea market-y thing. And so we went outside and I bought my favorite jacket that I own, which is this like pink Western wear with like fringe on it. So yeah, that's what I remember. But no, there were no like, burgers or mozzarella sticks or anything. And I feel like that could have only improved the experience.
Definitely.
Tattoo artists, sound off. Would you want your clients just mainlining a burger while you're tattooing them? Would that help? Would it hurt?
Hey guys, I'm gonna get an anchor tattoo. You guys want some apps?
Yeah. I'm gonna just get this barbed wire around my arm. Can you hit me with them potato skins, dog? Here's the other, it just struck me as a funny, like, combo business.
Yeah.
Like, I used to go to this Mexican food place when I was in college that was Alejandro's Mexican Food and Auto Detailing. And we were all like, what a ridiculous combination of businesses, until we were like, oh, I gotta get the car. I can have nachos while I do it. And I was like, they're brilliant. They're brilliant.
In my college town, there was a place called Harvey Washbangers, and it was a place that was a bar on one side and a laundromat on the other, and it was right next to campus, and it was...
That's fucking perfect.
It was perfect for my college town at that time, yes. People came and played shows there. Like, people played shows at the bar side. Yeah, it was crazy.
You'd be astounded how many shows take place in laundromats.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, I feel like every laundromat needs a fucking diner. That sounds like...
That's smart.
Because that's where I want to just, like, sit down and eat a burger or whatever, is when I'm just, like, waiting for my clothes to be done. And I say that as a person that now has a washer and dryer in my house. But if, like, for the years that I did not, I would have killed for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, she takes off for Silent Hill, and the cop pulls her over, and she doesn't wait for the cop to get to the window. She just waits for the cop to get off the bike. And then she's like, we're so close to Silent Hill, I'm just fucking going.
Paige, she had just watched Terminator 2, and she was expecting the cop to be like, have you seen this girl?
Have you seen this girl?
So she just, like, floored it and got out of there.
Got out of there, gets through a fence, and then goes up this, like, road where we get, like, the shining shot.
Yeah.
Of the lights up the hill. We reveal that the cop is following, but kind of a distance behind. But as she approaches the entrance to Silent Hill, a little girl walks across the street. She swerves to not hit her. The cop also swerves.
Yeah. And we see Rose kind of like swerve, and then her head hits the steering wheel, more or less, knocking her out. And this is the first of the, I think, 4 or 5 times where they don't really know how to get out of the scene. So they like knock a character out, or the character just passes out.
Right.
And then we wake up and everything's kind of fine now.
Right.
That happens like 4 or 5 times in the movie. It's like a weird pattern.
Well, and that always happens in these games.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the loading screen between levels, kind of. Yeah.
Yes. And it is like the level breaker. It's wild to put it in a movie.
I know.
Because for a movie, we have no way to contextualize it.
It just feels like you didn't know how to finish the scene, so you passed out.
Yeah, it's like, is she in danger? Is she not? So all the tension they build from there being danger just dissipates immediately. And so, like, essentially, she swerves, crashes the car, wakes up, daughter's gone, and the cop is seemingly also gone. We have not seen them. We will come back to them later.
It's also like it's foggy and ash is falling from the sky.
Yeah.
It's like Ash Wednesday or whatever.
Yeah. This is like Ash Wednesday through Saturday, just the amount of ash around.
Yeah.
She walks into town and just kind of wanders around down an alley until the siren goes off, which again is definitely something that happens in games like this, where it's almost like the alert that the dimension is going to change or the reality is going to change, and you now have to prepare for the air quotes upside down.
Yeah, we get a few of them. I mean, the canary is one of them, which is also a coal mine reference.
Yeah, absolutely. And they carry it around.
Yeah, they canary it around.
They canary it around. I don't think they really cover this in the movie, but it took me a second until I watched the like cult members putting on the miner gear, and I was like, were these the people after her in the school?
Yeah.
And the movie does not connect that well at all.
I mean, it does show them later, like putting it on, and so like I did eventually figure that out. But again, the cult is like a third act reveal. It's like really late in the movie.
Right. Because at this point, she, wanders down this, dark stairwell, dark alley.
Yeah.
Siren goes off. We see a bunch of little screech babies. And then like somebody tied to a, chain link fence with their intestines out. We don't know who that person is. That's never answered.
It's not. It's real gross though. And I bet it's answered in the video game, I would assume.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
But this is one of those things that I bet if they did it now, and if they've done things like this in more recent movies, I bet it's way scarier and it looks way better. Just because like the CGI doesn't hold up great. And again, it was from 2006. Like it's just of the time. It's not. They did a great job with it for the time. It just is of the time.
Yeah, for the time. This one I think looks the best out of most of them, but what doesn't look great are the little screech babies.
Yes.
Who then advance on her and then just turn into ash, and then she wakes up in a jukebox later.
Yeah.
Which, for me, as a viewer, tells me that nothing that happens in the Upside Down is dangerous.
Yeah, I thought that too, right?
Yeah.
Because you do see her sort of like get away from them. I mean, at one point I was like, why isn't she kicking them? Because she's like fenced in or whatever. I would just be full on kicking the shit out of these things.
Stomping them.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're clearly not friendly, ma'am. Like, defend yourself.
They're not friendly. And then they just dissipate. And even later when Pyramid Head is like, stabbing through stuff. And then when the like darkness goes to light, the holes he stabbed close up. I'm like, so is any of this dangerous or is it just in her head?
I think it's a metaphor for letting your grief get a hold of you and like,
sure.
And, some people make pretty dark decisions during that time period in their life and then they're taken out, right? So like, I think that's sort of the metaphor in the game. At least that's the vibe I got. Although I only watched the movie, so I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
Like, I bet if you played the game, you'd know.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, so she wakes up in a bowling alley and starts kind of running around. And at this point in the movie, she runs around Silent Hill just so we can like see the cool shit.
Yeah.
For like 20 minutes.
Yeah. And they do a very good job of like, she's chasing who she thinks is her daughter, Sharon, but it's actually not. It's Alyssa. Yeah. But they look alike, so that it's not her fault. Like all of them, they look alike. I don't know. Like, aren't they like, they look exactly alike, right? Like, that's the thing. So, yeah.
Yeah. They are related. Yeah.
You were like looking at me like I was crazy, but yeah.
No. Sorry. No.
Wait. Are they related or is she like the good essence of
her daughter? Sharon is technically Alessa's daughter based on what they told us in the movie.
Yeah. Okay.
But the girl that she's seeing is the dark part of Alessa who has survived the fire and then convalesced in the hospital in Silent Hill and allegedly had a baby. And the
cool.
implications of that are both terrifying and unclear.
And very first 5 minutes of Kill Bill that I'm very uncomfortable with.
She's awake, though. She's conscious.
Fair. Okay. Yeah, maybe it was like...
Now, okay, you know what? When we get to it, I have headcanon that I'm like, I think it's this.
I can't wait to hear how gross that is. But anyway.
No, it's not. It's significantly less gross in my headcanon, but
good.
Still.
We'll get there.
So she runs into literally, it looks like the bog woman in Princess Bride. They're like, bow to her, the queen of putrescence. Boo! That lady.
It does look like that, yeah. Except with a huge wig with like a lot of strands in front of her face, like she doesn't know how to move hair out of her face.
Yeah, she can't. It hurts too bad. But yes, bow to her. That lady comes up and is like, I'm looking for my daughter. They lied to me about my daughter.
And she's like, oh, tell me about it. My daughter's been stuck in here for years. I've just been walking around.
Yes.
Have you seen a brush? I haven't seen a brush anywhere.
Anywhere. And then she kind of grabs the locket and she's like, I'm looking for my daughter. She's like, this is my daughter.
Yeah.
Mine. My daughter is missing.
Oh, and this is when she like gets up to, I think, the edge of town or whatever. And it looks
right
because of an optical magical illusion. I think this is what the energy I was talking about. That's of an indiscriminate origin.
Yes, yeah.
But like because of that, it looks like it's a huge cliff to literally nothing. But at the end, we see her just drive right out of town.
Right.
So it's like an optical illusion or it's the magic of it all.
Well, and this is the other side of town.
Fair, yeah.
This is not where her car is. She has run all the way to the other side. But this is where...
Okay, yeah, fair.
They are looking over the cliff and the lady's like, my daughter. And she kind of runs away. She's like, what the fuck? That bitch told me to boo. Whatever. So she gets back to the car and... as that's happening, Sean Bean has already been like to the gas station and is like, pretty sure my wife and daughter were here. Where's the turnoff? And they're like, the road doesn't go there. And he's like, money. And they're like, that way.
Yeah.
Great.
I know exactly where you're going.
Yes. But we cut to Rose, who gets back to her Jeep and it won't start. But she does find pictures that Sharon has drawn. And
yeah, of the church, right?
Of the church.
Yeah.
Well, of the school at this point, of the school.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. You're right. She goes to the school first.
And she leaves a message for Sean Bean, a message that does not go through because it's a little Nokia brick and they are also in the Upside Down.
I also think they've died. I think they're in hell.
Yes.
Like they're dead.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know because the movie is not clear, but That's my theory.
You think that Silent Hill is purgatory?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with you. That's kind of where I'm at as well. Anyway, who should show up but Sybil, the police officer?
Yeah.
And she's like, "Hey, bitch, you're under arrest." She's like, "For what? I didn't do anything." And she's like, "Resisting arrest. Like, we got in a police chase to get here. Like, what are you talking about?" But they're going to hike back to the station, but their radios go static. Now, Jake informed me that when the radios go static, that's like the clue that something monstery is going to happen in the game.
That does not surprise me. Yeah. There are a lot of like those little tells, like the canary. I just missed the static because I'd never played the game.
Right.
But that's cool that they included that.
Yeah. Anyway, we cut to Sean Bean has now gotten to the police barricade because now there's a police barricade because there's an officer missing and his wife, but they say they found the car.
Yeah.
Which is wild because we just saw the car in the Upside Down, which to me is like alternate dimension. They are dead or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
That's one of the reasons I was like, oh, shit, they're dead. But I thought that they might get out.
Right.
Kind of like The Descent in a weird way, although The Descent is not about that. But like, they're gone.
Yeah.
And then she's the only one that survives.
In that one version of the ending, yes.
Yes, fair. But I thought it was going to be kind of like that, where they could get out if they achieved whatever, but
yeah,
I guess not.
I love that it's Toluca Lake.
Yeah.
Which, if you are a local to Los Angeles, that's a city, like literally a stone's throw from where I'm at right now, is Toluca Lake. Yeah. But I think it's just naming stuff, fun stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, as they're walking, she and the cop along the road to try and find a way out, this is where they find basically the cliff and they can't drive back out.
Yeah.
And they run into a creepy guy who seems to just be a rib cage and legs. And this is where she shoots him after he sprays acid or something on her, takes her helmet off, revealing a great haircut.
Yeah.
But this gives Rose a chance to run away and get out of the handcuffs, or at least bring the handcuffs to the front of her, and uses a bus map. And my first thought was like, lady, the bus ain't coming. And I was like, oh, it probably has landmarks on it. Fine. So she like gets to the school. Sharon! Just yelling the whole way.
Literally the whole way. She must say it. I'm not even joking. She must say it like 30 or 40 times.
Easily.
In the movie.
Easily. And I just said like yada, yada, yada. She went to the school. I just skipped over 15 minutes of screen time of her just getting to the school.
They do a really good job of setting up that the town is kind of like a maze and she's very lost and she's confused as to where to go. And then they show like a montage of her like trying to get there and she sees this very, very basic map that looks like a child drew it on the back of a napkin. And that's how she finds the school.
Yes. And here's the thing, from playing games like this, one of the reasons I don't choose to play them regularly is this particular piece of frustration I have.
Tell me about it.
There you go. Often with like an open world game, you have a map. So you kind of know where you are in relation to other things. And sometimes you can fast travel, whatever.
Sure.
These games usually don't have a map because part of the game is trying to remember which door you went through to get to which place. Sometimes doors don't take you to the same place every time. And you are kind of playing with what you have as you go to try and figure out where things are. I find that very disconcerting and confusing and frustrating and demotivating. But that, I assume, is what Silent Hill is kind of like, is that you are having to kind of find your way around and you may eventually learn the layout for this particular reality in this moment.
Right, because it's going to shift at night.
And I'm sure it's a different layout at night, much like the most recent Ratchet and Clank, where you could bang on a crystal and it would be nighttime and then it's different and then you move to the next crystal. But there's still a map though. But in this, I feel like that's probably what we're playing with, but it's a difficult thing to show on screen.
Yeah, I think it is.
Anyway,
she gets to the school.
She gets the flashlight, she gets the keys. And while this is happening, the cops in the right side up have put Boromir in the car and are like driving through the town and are like, I'm an officer of the law, you're safe, come out. And it's not the upside. So they're in a completely different, they're just driving through town. There's nobody there.
They're in the ghost town, which that's kind of a clue, I think, as to what they're actually doing under the underground or the upside down or whatever, right?
Right. They are battling their way through purgatory to find each other and be together for eternity. However,
right.
The end is nebulous as to whether or not that's a good thing. Anyway.
Well, because Scene Bean isn't dead.
Right. No, that's what I mean. Sorry, I was unclear. I did not use names. Rose is trying to get to Sharon in purgatory. So they can be together, but I do think they are both dead or something like that.
Paige, listen, this is a movie. Sean Bean in real life isn't a widow and is not available. So stop trying to say his wife and child are dead.
Look, I'm just living my life with intention.
Okay. All right.
So as she's running through the school, she does see the canary in the cage and the miners chasing her. She sees the handprints on the desk with witch written across them.
Yeah.
And we get kind of bits and pieces of the story of Alessa, but only a little bit. And at this point, we are 40 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
40 minutes.
We're deep into the movie, and I don't really know what's happening.
40 minutes. I have no idea what's happening. I have watched her run around and scream, Sharon, for 40 of those minutes.
Yeah.
Like an episode of The Osbournes. That's how this feels.
Yeah.
And this is when I texted you, I think this movie could be 90 minutes shorter, and I'm not even halfway through.
I know. Yeah.
Anyway, this is where she runs into the bathroom to try and get away from the miners. And she's like, I promise I'm going to help you, because she hears a little girl crying. But what does it reveal? Colin's body.
Yeah. Which is pretty scary. It's pretty gross. And the bathroom says dare you, double dog, dare you, or whatever. And I got to be honest with you. If I go into a bathroom and open a stall and it says that in poop in the stall behind me, I'm just going to shit as fast as I can and get out of there.
Yeah.
I definitely got to go to the bathroom because it's an emergency, but I'm definitely running out of there. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like if you see that in a bathroom, it's because somebody dared somebody to eat as many chalupas as they could.
Chalupas?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a fan.
Somebody lost a potluck in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, the miners grab the canary and run away, and the siren goes off. It's happening again. It gets dark. These effects do not hold up, but this is where we get the crawling kind of contortionist guy who screams, which again, to us who have not played the game, we're like, creepy, but who is he? Does he need help?
I think he's Colin.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I do.
Oh.
I think that is his
okay.
revenge. Her vengeance for what he did to her.
Got it. So, okay, let me ask you this then.
Okay.
If we consider Hellraiser 2 and the Paco jetting somebody's brain with a penis drill, do you think that when the darkness comes, the bodies that they have chained up exist forever in that darkness,
yes.
Meaning the darkness truly is hell?
Yes, I definitely think they are in
Okay.
hell and they are forever tormented because of the choices they made before they got into purgatory.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. And if you're listening to this and you played the game and we're wrong, don't tell us. That's a better version than what the movie gives us. I think we have made sense for ourselves. Don't ruin it. Anyway, so she runs from that guy. There's a bunch of bugs, roaches everywhere. She falls. She runs into Sybil again. And this is also where we meet Pyramid Head. Hello.
Yeah.
But as Sean Bean is up on the surface, he's like, I felt her, my wife. Kind of like a ghostly dimensionality kind of thing that they do not explore, but is interesting.
Yes. I definitely think this indicates a thin place.
Yes.
And this is another thing that I think ties into the energy. I think he even says, I smell her perfume or something like that.
Yes.
It is a very thin place here, I think.
Right,
yeah.
Right. But we cut back to the dark place, and she and Sybil managed to survive Pyramid Head's giant knife. Now, the proportions of this knife are very troubling because it seems too large to physically carry. It seems larger than him even. When it's stabbing through those doors, it's like the size of a human.
Yeah.
But then when we see him, he seems to be human-sized. And then his hands are grabbing at them, but those seem human-sized as well. And Sybil shoots him, and then they seem to kind of retreat, and then everything goes back to ashes, which is kind of their normal.
Yeah, which is I think the end of night, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Pyramid Head guy is just extremely strong, and that is indicated by how big the sword is and how expertly he can wield something that big, which is not something I've heard about me.
I mean, I'm just excited to hear that he could wield something that big so dexterously. But here's what I will say. If, based on the mythology that you and I have just kind of stumble-bumbled our way into on this podcast.
Perhaps guessed correctly or incorrectly, yeah.
Potentially. If the people or the creatures that we are meeting in the Upside Down, so like I think the like little screaming melty babies were the other kids that died in the fires.
Gotta be.
I think Colin is that one, right?
Yes.
So who is Pyramid Head? Although, again, Jake read me the thing and it was like he's the personification of grief. So maybe it's her grief personified, which like, girl, your imagination. Okay.
I know, right?
All right. Okay. We'll get it. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll
watch more of these and eventually figure it out.
I definitely would watch more of these. Like, I think the lore is cool.
The lore is interesting.
Yeah. I just wish I understood it better.
Yep. Anyway, we cut back to the right side up.
Yeah.
Where Sean Bean breaks in because he tries to get police records and can't get it. So he breaks and enters while all the police are out looking for his wife and gets basically the folder, realizes that Alessa died but looks exactly like his daughter. He's like, I got to go talk to that orphanage.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the Upside Down, Sybil and Rose have a hotel, a little piece of what we will find out is a hotel key. That they found in Colin's mouth, which leads them to the hotel. At which point I was like, why a town this small need a hotel? But fine. They get there, and this is where they find Anna foraging around and also run back into Alessa's mom.
Yeah.
Boo! The queen of putrescence.
Have you found a brush? Sorry.
Yeah. Your love lives and you marry another. Like, that lady. She's there.
Yeah.
And Anna's there. And this is the first indication we get of any local mythology where Anna is like, Dahlia, who is Alessa's mom, was cast out and lost her daughter. And Rose is like, oh, I already met her. We talked about the daughter thing. You're being a bitch. And she's like, my mother needs more food. I had to come forage, whatever.
Yeah.
But the church is where we go for safety when night comes.
Yeah.
Okay. This is also where we match the symbol that she saw at the school. It's a symbol of their faith.
Yes.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah, because we're about to experience the full-on cult, guys.
Oh, yeah. But first, we find a little letter that is a drawn picture in the slot for room 111.
Yeah.
Which we assume is the one that their key goes to. However, they go to where 111 should be, and there seems to be no 111 until... And this is where Anna says, it's here, the first burning. The elders kept us pure. Does that make a ton of sense? Not really. Kind of later.
It might if you played the game, though.
Maybe. Anyway, they cut through a painting, and 111 is behind that painting. I thought that was very cool. I was very into that.
I thought it was very cool, too. I really hated that she procured this knife just to cut through a painting they could have just pulled on to open, and then for her to lose the knife immediately as they jump from one building to the next.
Yes, because they go into this room and it has a Kool-Aid Man style hole between it into the next building, which is some sort of factory, which does lead down into the mines.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
We will actually find out what this is later in the movie, because this is where they had the first ritual, because this is where we find the seal and it's broken and everything. And this is where she's like, something terrible happened here. Yeah. And she thinks she sees Sharon! Sharon! She thinks she sees Sharon. So she goes over and it's Alessa. And she turns around and she just goes, look at me, I'm burning. And I laughed for a full minute.
Yeah, Paige, I laughed too. It was hilarious because it was like she was about to do the beginning of an episode of Mind Freak, and this was her Chris Angel-like trick. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes,
I'm burning, and then on fire. I was like, hell yeah, welcome to Mind Freak.
I'm burning. Tricks are what a whore does for money, Michael. Like, that is what...
It was awesome.
Anyway, she then is like, oh God, that was not my daughter. That was some freaky ghost child. And the other two, Sybil and Anna, are like, what did you see over there? And she's just like, freaky ghost kid on fire. And they're like, that ain't good.
That's not good.
And then Anna sees like a bunch of birds and bats fly up from the bottom. She's like, oh, we got to get back to church. It's about to be dark time. And they're like, what? Okay. So they like run back to the church.
They're like, take me to church, Hosea. Let's go.
Take me to church. All the bats flew out of the hole in the floor. And I don't want to smell ash anymore. Anyway, they go to the church and they get to the steps.
Oh, man. When she refuses to go 30 more steps to the inside church area to get away from Pyramid Head, to have a conversation with the one lady who's going the other direction. Guys, the metaphor is coming. All I'm saying is she got Anne killed. Like, her negligence and just staying and having a full-ass conversation while being attacked by a pyramid led to Anna's death.
Yeah, well, but what Dahlia does tell her is evil wakes in vengeance. Be careful what you choose. Which ultimately, if we think about the end of this movie, I would say there's no good choice. It's unwinnable.
Sure, yeah.
Potentially.
Because they're probably dead and in purgatory. There's no way back.
There's no way back. But not only that, like even, let's say they're not dead and in purgatory. Let's say there is a way for them to get back, whatever.
Okay.
Her daughter, Dahlia has her daughter.
Yes.
And has been hiding her. We're about to find out moments from now. And so if she had stayed in the church, they would have found her daughter. She would have found her.
Oh, yeah.
And then she would have, I guess, had the chance to then fight without having to encounter Alessa and take on that vengeance and take on that negativity and that poison inside. Essentially, it's like vengeance will poison you. You may be able to do what you want to do, but there's a cost.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
And for her, the cost is her daughter, right? Anyway, so she goes inside, but Anna don't make it because Pyramid Head literally grabs her, rips her clothes off. I was like, damn. And then just grabs her skin and rips her skin off and flings it at the door. And again, I laughed for a solid minute.
Paige, when he rips her like frock off or whatever that is, and then you realize that was just an attempt to rip her skin off, like that was him messing up, you know?
Yes.
I kind of laughed in hindsight thinking about that, because like in his pyramid brain, he must have been like, yeah, because his brain definitely is also shaped like a pyramid. That's my point.
Oh, 100%.
But like in his brain, he was like, damn it, I should have grabbed full on skin. I hate when I grab the clothes first.
No. Anyway. We cut to, they go inside, Anna don't make it, and they're like, witches! They're the reason Anna's dead, and that might be true.
I thought it was nuts that they, like, what did Rose and the cop do that they, like, knew they were witches the second they got in? Like, the second they stepped foot inside a church, they were like, these ladies are witches.
Okay, so here, I have multiple theories. One.
Paige, I think I know, actually.
Yeah?
It's because they dared to have an opinion.
Oh, see, I was thinking that haircut was just so good. That they were like, we don't have... But what I think it really is this, if this is purgatory, right? Let's operate under that assumption. All of these people died during the fire. They are all frozen in time in, let's call it 1976, if we're making this in 2006.
Sure.
It looks a little earlier than that. It looks 60s, so I'm assuming it's when the game was, anyway.
Probably.
But, you know, mid-century. They are all in the decayed remains of those clothes.
Yeah.
And so I think these two in fresh, modern clothes stand out.
Fair. Okay.
And how could you get to purgatory except maybe by being a witch?
Yeah, I mean, and the cop does look like she is the security guard at her local Hooters. Like, it's not like the outfit screams video game.
Oh, yeah, it does. But also, weatches, let's go. Let's go. Anyway, we cut to the right side up.
Yeah.
Where Sean Bean goes to the orphanage and we find out that they got Sharon as a baby.
Yes. Like on the doorstep of the orphanage, which they then adopted from.
Immediately. So they've had Sharon for like 9 years. It's not like this is new. It's just like, it's Silent Hill was calling to her. But the cop comes to him and is like, you broke into our file. Like, we know it was you. I'm not going to arrest you, but like, I need you to go home and let me handle what fucking happened here. And that cop reveals, I knew the girl that you're asking about, and I thought she didn't make it.
Yeah.
I thought she died in that fire. A horrible thing happened 30 years ago, and I'm trying to make it right, and I need you to just go home and let me deal with it. Now, we are an hour and 15 minutes into this 2-hour movie, and we still know fuck all.
Right.
We don't know anything.
How is that guy trying to make it right? I get that he's a cop and he's trying to like solve it, but like we never really see him do anything to do that.
Well, we find out that he was the cop that answered the original call, which either means A, he's from purgatory and lives out here because he seems to not have aged a day, or B, they just didn't age him in the movie, or C, he just looks good for his age. Anyway.
Honestly, a lot of cardio, a lot of clean foods.
Yeah.
It checks out.
Well, and his hands are burned, he reveals in this scene. So like.
That's true, yeah.
That is part of it. So we know he was there. Anyway, we then cut back to the cult where they're like, hey, so you could go visit the demon and see if he has your daughter, but like no one ever comes back from there.
They kind of dare her. They dare her, Paige. They double dog dare her.
They double dog dare her to go, go talk to, why don't you go talk to the demon?
I bet you can't remember how to get to the demon, you dumb Lady Rose. I bet you can't memorize this map.
Fucking dumb bitch. Anyway, she decides to go down there and because she's like, I don't care that she's adopted. I'm her mother. Sybil is like, she's lucky to have you, but this is where Church Lady has the locket. And I think she knew the whole time, but she was going to use this as an excuse to kill them because she sees the locket and she's like, her daughter is the spitting image of the witch.
Yes.
We got to kill her.
Yes, she's a witch because her daughter is the same as the witch, right?
Right.
Can I point this out? Her Rose delivering the line, we adopted Sharon, but she's my daughter. That kind of felt, this is going to sound insane. It kind of felt gross to me.
Same.
Because if she actually saw Sharon as her daughter, she'd be like, she's my daughter.
She wouldn't have to use the caveat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I understand in a situation, maybe medically, where you're talking about medical history or something, where you have to disclose that.
Yes.
This is not that.
No.
This is her being like, I didn't give birth to her, but I'm still her mother. I'm like, you're her mother. Just say you're her mother. This is not a caveat.
I'm such a good person. Listen, guys, I'm such a good person. That's not even my biological daughter, but she's my daughter, right?
She's my daughter, though.
It just felt very performative to me. And I get that, like, she is doing this sweet, awesome thing. And, like, she's great. She's sacrificing herself for her daughter. I like the sentiment. I just didn't like the dialogue.
The line is just bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do love that the cult lady is like, I'll pray for you, but I won't expect you to return, which is such...
Yes.
And makes her memorize a map, which I'm sure in the game is a map that you only get to see once and you have to remember where stuff is.
Sure.
But because they see the locket and they're like, witch, burn the witch.
Yeah.
They then she gets into the elevator so she can go down. Meanwhile, Sybil holds them off, but they beat her nearly to death.
I thought they did.
I thought they did too.
I thought she died.
I did.
And this is a really cool shot. I loved this for the lady from Walking Dead. She like grabs the thing that's holding the elevator doors open and she's like, find your daughter.
Oh.
And then she takes that out and the doors
so
close.
Badass.
Right after the cult leader lady was like, in response to Rose saying, is there electricity? Like, will the elevator even work?
Will the elevator work?
And the cult leader goes, if the demon wants you, it'll work. And I was like, fuck, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So
find your daughter.
I know.
Fucking
and then it builds
badass.
to that moment with the find your daughter. And it's just like, oh shit, that's awesome.
Yes. Awesome.
But like, then it cuts back to them beating her again. So I was like, oh, she's straight up dead.
Yeah.
She's not dead though. She dies later in a much more painful way.
And okay, this next, because Rose gets down there, I expected so many more obstacles for her to get to that room because she sees the things that are like attracted to light and she kind of tricks them. They, fight each other. She turns the light the other way, but that's it.
I loved that she goes through this maze and she does remember the map that she had to remember because wouldn't that be terrible if you're like just showing the frustration of like the video game player, like, fuck, what was the fucking map? I can't remember. Right. So anyway, we're watching someone play this video game that like knows exactly where to go. And that was very funny to me. But the
very Twitch.
Yeah. It was very like Twitch watching a speedrunner play it. You're right. That is very funny. But like she eventually does run into like an evil sorority dressed as sexy nuns for their Halloween party where they're practicing their Thriller dance for said party.
Yeah. I wanted so badly, once they kind of like, because she has the light and they kind of angle and walk towards her, I was like, if they broke out into Thriller, this would be my new favorite movie. I would be like, I'm so glad you're so brave. Like, it was just so, I missed it.
I know.
I wanted it. But that belongs in Malignant, not in the...
You're right. That is very a Malignant style vibe.
Anyway, she gets there. She gets to the room with no other obstacles, apparently. And she gets there, and then we are treated to 15 minutes of weird child voiceover where she's like, you did it. You're here.
This is the entire backstory of what happened. Paige, when she runs into the room and it just like whites out.
Yes.
And then you get the voiceover from the child that's very much like, you made it. And your reward is the truth.
The truth.
Which I was like,
which is it?
Okay, let's get some truth. I was cool. I was like, great, let's get some. And then that truth goes on for 15 minutes.
Well, and also, is it the truth? Can you believe a demon? We can't get into it right now, but
I think elements of it are true. I don't know, but I don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, essentially, according to this long child voiceover,
right,
Alessia had no father. This is a very, scarlet letter situation. And because of that, the cult wants to burn her. In like 1967?
Can we just pause right here for 1 second? Instead of revealing who the father of her child is, she sort of allows the town to sacrifice her daughter.
I don't think that that's what she thought would happen.
What did you think she thought was going to happen?
So it says here that they hadn't burned anyone in a long time. So I think that was not even a potential option. I think she thought they were going to quick baptize her and hand her back or something. But even then she has apprehension and they rip the daughter out of her arms. Like
they do. And she does try. And there really is nothing she could do in that moment because there's like, no joke, 12 of them in one of her.
Right.
Like it is sad and she doesn't want it to happen. You're right.
Right. And essentially in the room next to the hotel, so like 111 Kool-Aid Man through, in that room where the seal was that has like the, down to the mines, that they had basically a giant bowl and they were just going to burn her in the bowl, like murder that lady's child. But in the process, it falls over, the seal breaks.
They should have reinforced that chain. It would have been fine. And Paige, I don't know why you keep bringing up Seal. Like, I love that he has a cameo in this movie, but like...
There used to be a bowl that we could burn childs in the dark. You remain. Anyway, I think it's Alessia's anger that like cracks stuff, but whatever. A little like 11 from Stranger Things, kind of like, ah.
Yes.
Anyway, that bowl knocking over causes the fire that burns the town down.
Literally, it's caused... because they didn't reinforce the chain. I really don't know how else to express it. Like, you should really reinforce the chain that holds the collie in my cage. Like, it's obvious. That's what burns their town to the ground, Paige. It's an OSHA violation.
My bowl and my chains and my flames, baby. To me, you're like a child we're burning because she's evil. Anyway.
It's crazy to me that is what causes the town to catch on fire.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yes. Especially because nothing in the town seems burned down. It seems like all the fires below the ground.
Paige, the building they're in isn't burned down.
I have so many questions.
1,000 questions.
1,000 questions. Regardless, while this is happening, her mom went and got the cop. It seems to be the same cop we've been dealing with. And they actively try to stop what is happening. That cop pulls her off the pyre, puts her on a stretcher, and she ends up in the hospital. He thinks that she died or was going to die. But according to Alessia's version, she didn't die. She became telepathic and infected that one nurse who looks very creepy. But other than that, we know nothing about that nurse.
Honestly, know nothing about that nurse other than it looks like her eyelids were cut off.
Yeah,
which was cool and creepy, but I don't know anything about it.
I don't know anything about it.
But I bet that was a cool reveal if you played the video game.
I guess. But at this point, Rose is like, so who's on the bed and who are you? Like, can we get some introductions going on here? Because I'm fucking clueless.
Hey guys, can we play an icebreaker real quick? So my name's Rose.
All right.
And let's do True Truth and a Lie.
Ooh.
I'm married to Ned Stark. I'm looking for Sharon. And I'm not at all creeped out by the Upside Down.
Great. Thank you. I'm Alessia. I'm in this bed. I'm not evil at all. And I love pineapple.
So, You hate pineapple, right? We're safe. Like, this is fine. We're all fine.
We're all fine.
Please don't tell me you can maybe control barbed wire with your brain. Like, none of that's explained, but whatever.
No, of course not. And then I'm the dark part of Alessia. I'm personified in the vision of this little girl, kind of like the little girl that she was. And let's see, 2 truths and a lie. I'm not evil. I love purple. And I'm definitely not going to possess you.
Damn. Okay, cool. So you're going to possess me?
Cool. Now that we all know each other, trust falls.
I know. Trust fall into your body. Like Alessa walks over, hugs her, and then like gets absorbed into her body. But don't worry, she comes back later and it's completely unexplained.
It's totally fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Because essentially she's like, I need you to go into the church, but I can't walk into the church. And you got to do something there. What? Oh, I'm not going to tell you.
You'll figure it out when you get there, guys.
You'll figure it out. Just don't worry. There's IKEA instructions. It's definitely not missing a screw.
And when you open the IKEA instructions, it just says, tell the truth. Because that's essentially what she does. She goes in there and like calls them on their shit.
But that doesn't do anything. It's this. Well, we'll talk about it when we get there. First, we got to talk about the baby.
Okay, let's talk about the baby.
So Alessa is the one in the hospital bed. The implication being she was very injured by her burns, but has now grown to adulthood because that is an adult.
Yes, it is.
In that bed that is awake and aware and communicating, I believe, telepathically with Eyeball Nurse. And Eyeball Nurse is, I guess, procuring things. So here's my question. Because we know that this fire happened 30 years ago. We also know that Sharon is 9 years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome back to this episode of Who Dat Baby Daddy.
Who that baby daddy?
Whose child is this, to quote A Christmas Carol?
Whose child is this? This weird IP. I have 2 theories.
Hit me with both.
Theory number 1 that I think makes the most sense within the story. I believe that Alessa, much like everyone else in the Upside Down, is dead.
Yes. Okay.
And this is her plotting her revenge. And she has had this long to plan it out. And the evil part of her that manifests as this small child, essentially like virgin births an Antichrist.
Okay.
And then they deliver it to that orphanage. That makes the most sense to me within the IP. The other thing, here's the other thing. And now here's the other part. Okay. Option 2. Remember, they keep bringing up that case of the other guy that went and dropped a kid down a mine shaft.
They do, yes.
And they mention it was a few years ago.
Yes.
So my question is, did they lure that man to then either sacrifice a child so she could have a child, or give her the baby, or get her pregnant? Is there something with that other guy that we just don't have the information for and we don't know?
Damn, yeah, that could. Oh, man. The timeline on that kind of would line up.
Right.
If by a few years ago, they mean like 12-ish years ago.
9.
9? Okay, yeah, so like 9-ish years ago, which is
Yeah.
plausible. You know, they don't really indicate how long, so that's possible.
The only thing we know is that Sybil was also solving that case, but she could have been on the job for 10 years. Like, you know,
Yeah.
who knows? So those are my 2 brain options, is either Antichrist or they have been luring the people they need to Silent Hill. And that is what the cop has been trying to work on, is the people who go missing there. And that's why they eventually locked the road off.
From what we saw in the movie, that does like track. That could be it.
Right?
But again, don't know.
Don't know. Sharon! Anyway, Rose, now imbued with the power of Angry Girl, goes back up to the church, and just in time to not be able to save Sybil, who they have burned alive on a crazy ladder.
Yeah.
And they're about to do the same to Sharon, but Rose shows up.
Man, that looks very painful. Like when she gets burned alive, I felt very bad for her because that was rough.
Well, and they don't have her close enough to the fire, so it's like the heat of the smoke that is burning her, and ultimately what probably kills her is the smoke inhalation.
Yeah.
Which is brutal, because if you are burned at the stake, like traditional style, where you're like in the fire, you die a lot faster from the smoke inhalation. It's a terrible way to go, but like...
It's kind of like being slow roasted. It like would be terrible. Just so painful.
It is terrible and incredibly painful, but you it is very rare that you live through it.
Of course.
Like for the whole time. You usually pass out anyway.
You definitely would.
So she did. They're about to do it to Sharon, but Rose shows up and is like, I'm going to tell y'all the truth. Y'all killed an innocent little girl. Fuck y'all. She mad about it. And she confronts Locutus of the Borg. And then Borg Queen stabs her.
She does what any cult leader would do that was starting to lose control of their flock. And that is murder the dissenter.
Yeah, immediately causing the dissenter to collapse onto the seal and bleed onto it and bleed out Alessa's spirit. Essence, which then dissolves the seal.
The seal itself, yeah. Which kind of breaks like the day and like it becomes night. And then this is where a lot of weird shit happens, guys. I don't know what else to say.
A lot of weird shit happens. Alessa becomes a barbed wire spider that rips a lot of people in half. And cool, I guess.
Paige, I can't believe we're this deep into the episode. And this is the first time I'm bringing up that someone it's the cult leader.
Yes.
She like gets picked up and like pulled into a T because it's a cross.
Yes.
And she was like the stand-in for organized religion, even though it definitely wasn't any that's reality based
And it was a very messy metaphor. Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah. But she like says, I'll try to remain pure or something like that. And then the barbed wire pulls her legs apart. And then Alyssa goes through her vagina and saws her in half with barbed wire.
Yeah.
That has to possibly be the worst way I've ever seen to die.
And all of it. Because there's the guy that they just like squeeze to death with the barbed wire too. And that also sounds awful. All of it sounds bad. Everyone's dead except for Alessa's mom. And it seems like it's because she was the one person who didn't think she was evil. And she's, quote, mother is God in the mind of a child, right?
Right. I think her punishment is getting to live knowing what she did or what her actions led to, maybe. And she is spared because she didn't want it to happen.
Yes,
but she's still in the upside down, you know?
She's still in the upside down. It's weird because I don't know if they're trying to punish her or not. I think the movie, this is where a lot of it is falling apart. And it's like, what does any of this mean? I don't know. But it's very much implied that Alessa has then possessed Sharon.
Yeah.
And so as she and Sharon try to leave, they drive out where the cliff used to be. There's no more cliff, but it's still foggy. They're clearly not in the same timeline as Sean Bean. And the movie ends with them both being in the house, but in different timelines where he can sense that they're there, but not really. And that's the movie.
So having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, Paige, what did you think about Silent Hill?
I am confusion.
Yeah, I honestly really think there's cool groundwork for a very cool, interesting, universe and world.
Sure.
I don't think I understand enough of it having seen this first movie, and for me that's a problem.
Yes.
I didn't play the game, and I'm sorry I didn't play the game, but I don't want to watch a movie that requires me to have played the game first to understand it.
Yeah.
It's the reason I don't like Donnie Darko, because I don't want to have to read a blog to understand your movie having just seen it. I would like to just maybe be told a story that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
But I get that both of those movies are critically acclaimed movies, or at least Donnie Darko is.
Right.
So I'm definitely wrong about that one at least. But this one left me feeling the same way. Interested in the lore of the world, but don't understand it.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat where I'm convinced that the IP is interesting and that the game is probably fascinating. And had I played it, I might have liked this more. However, I still feel like the first 45 minutes are look at this and look over here too. And I'm I need more story. And I know there could be story here. I think that's what's frustrating is there's enough cool pieces to have made an interesting story. I have no need to watch this movie ever again. I will probably watch a sequel to see what happens.
I'd watch a sequel.
But I hope the sequel goes more story forward.
Yeah, I need more of that. This honestly felt a little bit like the early Final Fantasy movies that they made, where it's just really video game focused and not super story focused.
Yeah.
And I just prefer and honestly, I think video games now are way better because they do focus more on the story and try to stay true to the story and not so much true to this is where you had to hit X to jump to the next pillar or whatever, you know?
Right. Right.
Anyway, Paige, do you have any fun facts for us?
I do.
Well, here it is with your fun facts. The
Silent
Hill fun facts.
It took the director, Christoph Gans, 5 years to obtain the rights to make this film.
Okay.
Yes, and he was given the rights after he sent Konami, who made the game, a video of an interview describing how much the game meant to him. And along with the interview, he sent scenes that he had filmed on his own dollar, cut up and overlaid with music from the games.
Okay.
Which, here's the thing. I appreciate that someone who loved the games made this movie.
Agreed.
Because I'm sure if you played the games, you watched this and you're like, oh my God, it's exactly that. Cool. I have things that I'm like that about. I feel like maybe that love clouded the editing impulse a bit.
Yeah, I honestly, for me, it feels like the movie was made for like fans of the video game, which is great. I bet they loved it, and they're right because they've played the video game.
Right.
I don't have that reference material knowledge, so it just is a little confusing for me. So it's like a different experience. But I'm glad that they have the movie, you know?
Yeah, good for them. The dark nurses, which are what those things are called down in the basement, when they come alive, that was created by filming them backwards and then walking backwards and then running the film in reverse.
Very cool.
So even though they're walking it's an easy camera trick, but it looks really cool.
It does look super creepy. Like it does work.
Yeah. Now, around 100 different copies of Rose's outfit, because she's in the same outfit the whole time, were made. And they start out with soft summery colors. And as the movie progresses, they get grayer and then eventually blood red.
Yeah.
In part because she's covered in blood.
Yeah.
But the change in the outfits were so subtle that it's barely noticeable. I mean, you notice when she gets covered in blood, but like up until then, it just looks like she's getting kind of dirtier and dirtier. It's hard to recognize that she's also getting grayer and grayer and grayer.
Yeah.
Which would suggest, again, purgatory, as we guessed.
Yeah, I assume.
Most of the creatures in the film were played by dancers. They could be flexible enough to create the required disturbing movements.
That's not super surprising.
No.
Because a lot of them are like, they're probably also contortionists.
Yes.
You know, a combination because.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The man who played Pyramid Head is named Roberto Campanella, and he wore 15-inch heels to make him over 7 feet tall in the costume.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
As you guessed, Centralia, Pennsylvania was the inspiration for the movie adaptation of the game Silent Hill.
I figured.
Researching different elements of Silent Hill, the games, the screenwriter came across the town of Centralia, Pennsylvania, and planted the seed for what developed into the cinematic version of the town of Silent Hill, which to me suggests that perhaps the mines are not in the game, which I guess makes more sense because then it's just one instead of the other.
Yeah.
I guess. Anyway.
Yeah.
The actress who played Rose, Rhoda Mitchell, did not wash her hair through the entire filming to make it look dirty.
I mean, it does look dirty.
It does look dirty.
Good on her for the commitment. That's gross.
Yeah.
That's rough. I don't think I could have done that.
Yeah. In the witch burning picture in the church, there's like a mural in the background. All the spectators are crew that were then painted in as spectators watching the burning.
Nice. Okay.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Apart from Ring of Fire, every piece of music is directly from the game. I kind of guessed that.
Yeah, you can tell because they have like Final Fantasy style fanfares for certain characters that you hear when they're on screen, and that definitely happens in the movie, which is also a thing in Star Wars. So like I'm not saying it's not also common in cinema, but it's very common in video games.
Yes. Now the actor / dancer / choreographer that played Pyramid Head, Roberto Campanella, not only plays Pyramid Head, but because he was also a contortionist, he also played the torture janitor and Colin, who we didn't really cover this. It is heavily implied that Colin molested Alessa.
Yes.
Because she was unsupervised.
Yes.
It's a weird addition, but whatever. It's one of those things that I'm sure would be a side quest in the game, but in the movie, it's just kind of extra.
Yeah.
But he was also movement coordinators for all of the underground creatures.
Awesome.
So the gray children, the dark nurses, and the armless man, he helped choreograph all of that.
Very cool.
Due to the nature of the film and the fact that Jodelle Furland was only 10 years old at the time of filming, the screenwriter Roger Avery apologized to her parents just in case she had any signs of trauma from working on the film.
Nice.
So in the beginning of the film, when Rose is running to try and find Sharon, she goes over an underpass, and on the tunnel walls is graffiti spelling out the name Cheryl, Cheryl is the original name of Sharon's character in the video game.
Oh, okay. Wow. All right.
Yes. I'll end on this one because this is pretty fun. Borg Queen Alice Kriege's personality as Christabella was so dominant that other actors and extras responded to her commands on set.
She is amazing. And she's great in everything, so that's not a surprise.
Yeah.
But that's funny.
Yep. And those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts, Paige. Let's talk a wee little bit about box office. So what do you think the production budget was for Silent Hill in 2006?
Ooh, 2006, and I know the game was popular beforehand, so I believe this probably actually got a fairly substantial budget, hoping to cash in on the popularity of the game. That said, I think most of it went to sets and VFX. I'm going to say this was made for $45 million.
You're close. You're so close. It was actually $50 million, which, if you adjust for inflation, is $79.7 million today.
It's on the screen.
Yeah, I don't think it looks like a bad movie at all, especially for the time.
Yeah.
That's why I was trying to get across with the CGI talk. The CGI doesn't hold up, but it was great CGI for the time.
For the time, incredible. In 2006, for $50 million, this is actually a pretty well-budgeted movie, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the movie came out on April 21st, 2006, and it was actually number one the weekend it came out. The number two movie, so the first movie it beat was Scary Movie 4, which, listen, we got to eventually do more scary movies.
Yes.
Number 3 was The Sentinel. Number 4 was Ice Age, The Meltdown. And number 5 was The Wild. So, what do you think it made in its opening weekend when it was number one at the box office in 2006?
I'm going to say it makes $18 million opening weekend.
You're close. Yeah, it made $20.1 million in its opening weekend. It then fell to number 4 in its second weekend, but was never again in the top 5 because in the third week it fell to 7th, and then was never again in the top 10 because in its fourth week it fell to 11th. And then after about another 5 weeks was out of the theaters altogether. So it was in the theaters for about 9 weeks, but what do you think it made domestically in those 9 weeks while it was in the box office in 2006?
Ooh, 9 weeks of the box office. Opening weekend made 20. That means I think in domestic box office, it probably made $65 million.
You're close, but if it was flipped, you'd be closer because it was $46,900,000 some dollars. So it did okay, didn't quite make its budget back in the U.S. Here's where it did okay, though. In the international market, it brought in $47.7 million. So total worldwide was $94.7 million. So it definitely made money. And if you adjust that $94.7 million to today's dollars, that would be $151 million. So it definitely made money. It also brought in $23.6 million in the home market. So it definitely has made money. And they've made sequels. So clearly it's made money. And honestly, I'd love to see or maybe get into some of the sequels. And because that is the end of box office, maybe we can get into what the scary scale was because, Paige, this wasn't super scary for me, but I do think new ones could be. But hit him with the scary scale.
Yeah, I agree. Our scary scale is a scale of 1 to 10 of how scary we found this movie while watching it today, with 1 being Ghostbusters and 10 being Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Todd.
I'm going to give it a 3. It is not super scary. I think it's because the effects don't hold up great, but some of the ones that do hold up great, like the contortionists and the guy on the fence that's stuck and it's just torso, and some of the body horror did really irk me out, but it's not super scary.
Yeah, I'm going to give this a 1. I did not really find this scary at all. But I think part of that was also me trying to figure out what was happening.
Yeah.
Tough. Yes, that's a 1 for me. And that's your scary scale.
So, Paige, this week, the listeners made us watch Silent Hill. What are you going to make us watch next week as we enter in what will be a little bit shortened month and new theme because of when we had to record and the listener request for last theme sort of bleeding over into July?
Yes. We're kind of grab bagging a little bit. So we're going to catch up with some stuff that some series that we maybe haven't finished, have more to do, haven't gotten back to. So we're going to start with Purge Anarchy, which is the next Purge, because you guys did the first one without me. We have not done one since. So it'll be the Purge Anarchy.
Man, I would not hate visiting the Purge with you just to get your take on it. I remember that was a pretty contentious episode between me and Mikey. Yeah, I would love to hear your take on that. But I'm honestly interested to see where this franchise goes because I kind of dug The Purge as a metaphor for what we should be doing.
I don't know about this one. I know that Because there's 5 of them, and people have feelings about various ones within the 5. So, like,
sure.
I don't think they're all great. I think maybe, I don't know. We'll find out about this one. I listened to that original Purge episode, and I fall somewhere in the middle where, like, I understand trying to protect your family. However, I do think he goes a step too far by participating. So, like, where I understand the emotional impulse to try and protect the people closest to you, at a certain point, you can't sacrifice everyone else for the people closest to you.
Yeah.
That way, no one wins. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see in the next one.
We will. But that's your homework for next week, guys. Watch The Purge Anarchy and then check back for that episode.
Hey, Todd, do you have any reviews for us?
Yes, I do. So this week, I'm going to read a Spotify comment from our most recent Death Proof episode that literally just came out today. I'm going to read Anime Flower Child's comment because they say, if Sork Mononov requires you to walk while playing, Taran Mononov would be a piano version of the fire guitar guy from Fury Road on a swinging platform like it's an art installation in Beetlejuice.
Hell yes.
Which, like, I loved the, like, visual nature of that comment, so I had to read it. Anime Flower Child, thank you so much for your Spotify comment. And if you want to have me read your Spotify comment or 5-star Apple review, leave us one of those things and I'll do just that. So guys, if you like this show but want to hear Paige and I talk about romantic comedies or just regular romantic movies, check out our other podcast, some might call it a sister podcast, called Romancing the Pod, where we do just that weekly. It's a lot like this show, but for romance and romantic comedies, because Paige doesn't like them. So we make her watch them, just like you guys make me watch horror over here. But if you want to follow me, I am at Todd J. Awesome on all the social media. Paige is at Rampage Wesley on Instagram?
Yes, and TikTok.
And just Paige Wesley on Twitter, because you got that before some CEO lady and she wanted it, but you wouldn't give it back, and I respect you for that.
Refuse.
Also, Paige
Suck it, other Paige Wesley.
Paige is also on another podcast. It's great. You should check it out. It's called Cult Podcast with Armando Torres, who is a wonderful person. And if you want to support this show, go to Patreon at patreon.com/horrorvirgin, where there are a lot of great levels and a lot of great things. We do the Patreon shout outs at the beginning of every episode. We do listener requests, stuff like that, bonus episodes. So you'll be getting all of that content, plus episodes a day early with no ads, and who doesn't love that? So sign up for the Patreon and get a lot of great stuff.
And that's going to be it for us, you guys, on Paige.
And I'm your horror virgin, Todd.
Keep it ooky spooky.
Yeah, have an amazing week, guys. Bye! I hope the newer ones get better, nerds.